going, everybody? So we're back talking some more Season 3 of the Wheel of Time on the channel. It's finally here. We've made it to the finale. And considering the fact we still have no idea yet if we're going to get a Season 4 renewal, so this potentially could be the final episode of the Wheel of Time. Regardless, the finale here does pack a pretty brutal punch. Some of the beats that we leave on, though, are extremely jaw-dropping. So if this truly is the end and it gets canceled after this, I'm going to be devastated. Jumping into the finale, the political power struggle between Suwon and Elaida always has been as compelling as it is messy. Getting the visualization of what set off this feud 10 years ago was certainly exciting. Elaida's so immensely confident believing she's secured the Amyrlin seat with enough votes, it's not hard to see why after all of these years Elaida still has so much resentment for Suwon. There are quite a lot of different surprises in this finale, but the first one probably has to be the fact that Samael actually survived that attack. I wasn't really expecting him to survive what Rand did to him. A lot of this stuff with Samael ends up kind of being a moot point in the end. Moiraine's proposal to Samael to train Rand instead of trying to kill him. Personally, it didn't seem like to me he was going to be a pretty great teacher. In these circumstances, though, they did have me feeling a little bit bad for Samael. Probably the scariest person to visit you at this point has to be Moghedien. Moghedien has been a delight to watch, even though she is insanely creepy, and she's done a lot of nasty things throughout the season, but I wasn't expecting her to find ways to ramp up that creepiness factor, but the fact that she tears Samael apart, I was stunned. I was disgusted and stunned at this visual. Back in episode 6, it seemed like Rand and Egwene were kind of breaking up in a sense, so it seems like we're kind of just continuing on with that trend of Rand going on a breakup spree. Now, for as exciting and enticing as the relationship between Rand and Lanfear is, the majority of their relationship is built upon a toxic, complicated foundation. I feel like that was kind of part of the whole fun appeal to their relationship, but it seemed like Rand finally has seen through a lot of her sinister motivations and understanding her desire for power, and ultimately rejecting her. Like many toxic exes, when they are rejected, they don't take that rejection well. Because this is the finale and we have so many different things to wrap up this storyline, the White Tower, and Tanchico. Don't get me wrong, I do love the overall spectacle of the conclusion of all these storylines, but in one episode, it does start to feel a little bit overstuffed. And these episodes are already pretty long as it is, so it almost makes me wish we had just a little bit longer finale or an extra episode. When it comes to collecting everything in Tanchico, Liandrin's doing a far better job gathering all the pieces together than our heroes. To be fair, she has a lot of assistance going on. The fact that Moghedien just straight up gives her items. The detective vibes for this crew already was pretty strong, and that is one of the things I loved about it the most. So how could I not love that they went full Scooby-Doo, making the gang split up searching, all having their own conflict. Very admirable of Thawne to not only be a distraction for Elaine so she can get away, but letting her know this whole time that Robin's been posing as her mother's consort, so that'll be fun for later. That's just kind of something we put a pin in, and we'll address potentially in the next season. By the way, I was not expecting this weapon she was holding to cause this crazy balefire purple laser beam to happen. Power level on this balefire is crazy. I mean, Elaine completely disintegrates people. Kind of the most Scooby-Doo-like element amongst the storylines is Mat coming face to face with this frightening looking fox creature. Initially, I was kind of taken aback at how creepy these creatures look, but I was fascinated by them. Seems like they offer wishes of sorts, but the price for them seems to be pretty dire. The fact that Elaida also passed through a very similar looking doorway in the flashback sequence leads me to believe that she also made a deal with these people. Honestly, the funniest part about this entire exchange is just how over the entire experience Mat is while he's trying to talk to him, which in this case is not a good thing for Mat, because it didn't seem like he understood very well about setting the price for what they'll give him, because he starts being strangled. Fortunately for all of us, Mat does survive. Min gives him the worst CPR of all time that would not save anybody. I'm not sure necessarily if the Finn taking away a lot of Mat's memories is a good thing or not. He says the screaming is gone, so I have to assume it's at least a semi-positive, right? You all know that I love Nynaeve. She's one of my favorite characters. Trying to appeal to Liandrin and sympathize with her struggles probably was not the best plan in this instance. Wasn't a shocker at all that Liandrin just decides to chain her up and launch her into the water. She has far more pressing matters, like making the craziest duo of all time teaming up with Moghedien. That is going to be a very odd duo. Intrigued by seeing what they can get up to with Liandrin trying to become a Forsaken. In a way, I am grateful that Nynaeve got pushed to the literal brink of death in this instance, since that push was enough finally for her to be unblocked. Because she's such a powerful channeler, it makes me wish that we would see her channel more, especially when you see these staggering levels of channeling to part the sea and walk back onto the shore. In the latter half of this finale, there are so many different moments that got me emotional, but one in particular that got me by surprise: the heartwarming exchange between Moiraine and Rand. It may have taken them going through literal hell together for Rand to understand Moiraine more, but I love that Rand shows his appreciation to Moiraine for everything that she's done to this point. All of Moraine's raw emotion in this scene is probably what got me the most. Gearing up and accepting her fate that she's foreseen, going out to fight Lanfear and dying all for the sake of Rand succeeding. And my emotions pretty much were spinning for the last third or so of this finale. Varen disappointed me so much here. Her and everyone fell for the most clear and obvious trap Elaida could set to keep them away from the tower, while she gets enough support to start a coup to depose Suan. Everything that we watched Suan go through in this finale was just devastating. Beaten, bloody, stilled, and worst of all, Elaida now taking the Amyrlin seat from her. Objectively, between the two main events of sorts in this finale, with Rand trying to win over the Aiel to prove that he's the Car'a'carn, and Moraine's clash with Lanfear, gotta admit, Rand's stuff wasn't as exciting as Moraine's battle with Lanfear. From a writing standpoint, it seemed like it was intentionally made that way because we're intersecting Moraine's battle with Lanfear with Suan. Even if we've seen many of the outcomes of Lanfear fighting Moiraine, my nerves were at an all-time high. Heading into this finale, similar to Moiraine, I kind of was going in expecting her to die in this exchange against Lanfear. Most of the fight early on, it was not looking good for her, even before Moiraine started getting strangled. The entire back and forth of this battle, though, was incredible. How could I not stand up and cheer just when it seemed like the battle was being lost? Lan shows up to aid Moiraine. If only this happiness could be sustained, because the show decided to pull off the biggest gut punch of the entire show. And I'm not talking about Moiraine getting stabbed by Lanfear. People get stabbed in this show all the time, it seems like, and they're perfectly fine. Suan makes this incredibly harrowing speech to hammer home so many of her emotional points, and Elaida just straight up kills her. Out of everyone, I was not expecting Suan to die. Devastated is putting lightly how I felt, especially when you couple that with Moraine's reaction to all of this. The pure raw pain, using that to pull the blade out of her body, charging up and using that rage to slice Lanfear's neck, though, was very satisfying. Seems like that is the go-to move for Moiraine, because she's now slashed Lanfear's throat multiple times now. As I said before, some of the stuff in this finale does feel very overstuffed, and unfortunately, I think Rand is the biggest one that gets kind of left out in the cold. Most of these other events overshadow Rand's big moment that we've been building up towards pretty much the entire season. Regardless, it was still great seeing him win over everyone, becoming the Car'a'carn, but the tone here for sure feels far more foreboding than celebratory. The darkening of the sky, concluding on Egwene asking Rand to let go, and he gives her this ominous look as the credits roll. Stuff like this is what makes me really wish that this is not the final episode and Amazon does give us a renewal for a season 4, because I've enjoyed this story so much. I've loved, for the most part, everything that we've done, even if there is some big emotional hurdles in this conclusion. I need to see what comes next after this. Yeah, let me know down below, though. How do you feel about this finale for season 3 of The Wheel of Time? Did you like the finale? Did you not like the finale? Show your thoughts down below. Like I said before, thank you guys always for tuning into all the different episodes where I talk about The Wheel of Time. As someone that is going into this as a show watcher, having not read the books, you guys have been great. You guys are one of the best fan bases I've ever interacted with on the channel, so thank you guys for that. And as always, if you haven't already, make sure you like on the video and also subscribe so you're up to date with reviews, reactions, unboxings, and more. Till next time, I'll see you guys later.